Good day, everybody. Today we're here to talk to you about the Integrated Real Estate Management System overview. Later on, we'll have a brief overview of the actual system, but right now we're just going to talk to you about what IREMS is and how do you get access, and later on we'll be discussing reporting. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Carol Schrader. I'm a program analyst with OAMPO, and my esteemed colleague.
Hi, my name is Robert Norman, and I'm the IREMS System Security Administrator, and I work in the Office of Program Systems Management.
So let's talk about IREMS and active properties. So the first slide we're going to show you is actually the active properties and how they become active. So IREMS is the official source of data for multifamily housing. It's always been that since 1996. And just as a background so that you'll understand how it was developed, was we had a need for HUD to be able to pull reports in order to provide them with people that ask us on certain reporting criteria like physical inspections, financial statements, how many active properties do we have, how many have HAP contracts, how many have PRAC contracts. And so we developed this system. Now, this system has active properties in it that are made active by three reasons. One, it can have an active housing assistance payment contract or an active payment rental assistance contract. It can be active if it has an active FHA, and that will be a loan or a capital grant. Those would be synonymous with FHA insured or FHA capital grants like 202 811s. The other reason that a property will become active is it has a use agreement. And that use agreement could either be because it got some sort of a grant, it prepaid and it had a prepayment use agreement, or it got a preservation benefit, and that preservation benefit could have been a LIPA or ELIPA use agreement. And those require certain reporting functions on it, and they have a term. And that term for the length of the use agreement is going to continue to make that property active as long as it is recorded on a certain screen in IREMS, which we'll show you later in the demonstration. So we're looking at PRACs, HAPs, regulatory agreements for FHA insured, and we're looking at standalone use agreements. So the next slide actually talks about the IREMS users. And I think Robert's going to talk a little bit about how to become an IREMS user.
Sure. Basically, there's three types of IREMS users. The first being the internal user, which consists of housing regional centers and regional satellite offices, all the ways to your HUD staff. External users consist of offices such as the Departmental Enforcement Center, REAC, or FHEO. And we also have external users, which include project-based contract administrators who administer some of our portfolios. We have some TCA traditional contract administrators and housing financing agencies, which view IREMS only for the purpose of inspection, viewing the inspections. There are two types of roles in IREMS, and their two basic roles are the user and the administrator. Now, we have approximately 3,000 users in IREMS. We have about 100 or so administrators. IREMS administrators can be found on the IREMS page once we get into the demonstration for each field office. And if your administrator is not included on that office, please let me know so that I can update that slide.
Yeah, it's really important to know that Robert Norman is the gateway for administrators. So we'll reiterate that again while we're doing the demonstration, but just wanted to put that out there that Robert Norman is your go-to guy for administration.
Okay. Also, there are two basic access types in IREMS. The first, the basic being read access, which is a view-only access, which is mainly used by headquarters staff and contractors. Right access is more so for the field staff who are actually out in the field doing the work. IREMS is managed by the WAS role assignment, which means that once you are assigned access to IREMS, you're governed by the rules of behavior that govern the WAS system. Role assignment is performed from the headquarters level, which is your IREM security administrator, and property assignment is performed in the field office level.
Right, and that's really important also because as portfolios change with account executives or properties are reassigned to different offices under workload sharing, those reassignments can be made at the field level on property assignments. And that's why it's so important that you know who your administrator is, because they can make those changes and reassignments in IREMS.
This slide here should be adding, removing, and changing user roles in IREMS. In order to be assigned a role in access to be removed from a role in IREMS, your supervisor must submit a CHAMP request. Once that CHAMP request is submitted, it will send a service desk to the security administrator, who will then go in and approve the request and assign or revoke the access. One thing that you should know about having access to IREMS is each year you'll be subject to an annual recertification. This recertification will be emailed to you with a SharePoint link. Once you get that email, you forward it to your supervisor. Your supervisor will access the SharePoint link and recertify you. If your supervisor does not recertify you, your access will be revoked. Also, if you did not access the system within 90 days, your access will be temporarily terminated. So it's very important to remember to always access the system and to complete the user's recertification. Any changes in your employment, whether you move to another office or if a user is terminated or leaves the HUD facility, the supervisor is also required to submit a CHAMP request, which will remove the person from the system or change their roles.
And that's really important with staff taking new positions and changing offices. It's important that everybody understand what the protocol is so that you don't lose your access and you maintain it for your access level that was originally applied to your position. So, Robert, do you want to talk about the MPRD?
Sure. Basically, IREMS provides a reporting system for the actual IREM system, which is a MicroStrategy-based reporting system. And it gives you several great reports. These are the MicroStrategy reports. What we want to talk about today is the Multifamily Portfolio Reporting Database, or MPRD, or HEREMS Data Mart. IREMS data is maintained in the Housing Enterprise Real Estate Management System database, which is known as HEREMS. From HEREMS, we comprise a data mart called the MPRD. The data from MPRD is made up of user interface, from real-time data entry, monthly interfaces, and weekly interfaces from systems such as DAP and TRAX. Also, the data has been condensed into a flat file format, which reduces the need of table joins and creates an easier way of creating ad hoc reports. We have a diagram here which shows the system process. As you know, that in order to get access into IREMS, you must first get access through WAS. WAS is the Web Access Secure Systems. That is the gatekeeper. Before you come into WAS, you will be asked to read and acknowledge the rules of behavior. And once that happens, you'll have a warning page of what needs to happen while you're using these systems. As you see, once you come in through WAS, you'll get a direct feed into iRIMS. iRIMS interfaces with several different systems, as you can see. Some, it only disperses data, but some systems, it disperses data and receives data. For instance, the FAST system, we receive our financial information from FAST. From TRACS, we receive our tenant and payment information, and also locks. So this is just a demonstration of the type of data which iRIMS uses. Now, in order to gain access to the MPRD or the iRIMS data mart, you must first go to the iRIMS page, which will direct you. If you look at the link at the middle of the page, you will see the the MPRD access request form. Once you click on that request form, it'll take you to a SharePoint site. And once you get to that SharePoint site, if you notice on the right where it's highlighted, it tells you to click on that link, which will open up an InfoPath form. Once you get to this form, the first thing you should do is in that blue box where the link is highlighted, that is the rules of behavior for the MPRD. The first thing you should do is click on that link. That link will open up the rules of behavior for the MPRD, because you don't have to have access to iRIMS to have access to the MPRD. So you have to complete the rules of behavior, fill out the form, and click on the Submit Request button. Once you click on that Submit Request button, it'll automatically send me an email letting me know that you would like to have access to the MPRD. Once I go in that email, it'll send me to SharePoint, where I will in turn go in, approve the request. The request will be sent to the OCIO, who will also approve it and forward the request to the DBA, which will complete the request, give you access, and send you an email with your username and password. Once you have access to the MPRD, we just wanted to give you some examples of some of the reports that you create in the MPRD. This is just basically active properties and the different types of properties, and it's rolled up by count, just to give you one example. And if you go to the next example, you'll see another slide. This contains property information which can be rolled up into several different buckets, such as if you would like to query it on just the state code, that would be one way of looking at it. If you just wanted to do it by city or by state, or if you wanted to look it up by your particular field office, is another way that you can view some of these reports. So that's just a quick overview of the type of reports that we can produce using the MPRD. On this page, we just wanted to give you an example of some of the reports that are most commonly used in the multifamily environment. This is on our multifamily page, on the multifamily data page. We came up with some of these reports based on FOIAs that we received or requests from different field offices. So this is a good page to know. If you're looking for a set of data that is most commonly requested, you can go to this page and find that. This is just a page of some resources that are good to know to help you manage getting through the access protocols, the iRIMS page, some of the users' guides, data element dictionary, and the MPRD ERD. So we just wanted to provide that for you.
And if you need assistance, you can certainly call the Multifamily Housing Help Desk, and it'll generate a ticket number, and that ticket number will then generate somebody who gets back to you and hopefully will resolve your issue. We also gave you Robert Norman's telephone number. Remember what I said earlier, that he is the man for HERIMS, MPRD, and iRIMS questions. I added my telephone number in case Robert's not available. You can try and get a hold of me, and I'll get a hold of Robert for you, because he is the guy. And I just have one question for you, Robert. Used to be that field staff couldn't have access to MPRD, that it was the information specialist. So now we're opening it up to all field staff?
opening up to all field staff.
All
yes.
right. Well, that proves to be a real piece of information that I think everybody will find beneficial, and you may want to go ahead and begin to fill out that SharePoint info path request, because this will actually give you some data that will help you maybe assist in your servicing of your portfolio as an account executive, senior account executive, troubled asset specialist, regional administrator, regional supervisor, or director, or branch chief. All those things are now available to anybody that wants to access it, and as long as they're secure access, and as long as they go through the rules of behavior and they go through the proper channels to get access and are vetted, I would certainly say it's an avenue you might pursue. All right, so I've asked the questions. I think that'll take us to the demo. We're going to begin our overview of IREMS. So some of you may have already created a quick link or a link on your main screen. For those of you who are not familiar, just open up HUD at Work. And once HUD at Work loads, then walk over here to the quick links. And then go over here to the Browse the A to Z index. When you get to there, you can scroll down or click the S, but where we're trying to arrive at is S for Systems. It's the very last link here. Please click Systems. Now let's look for multifamily. So here we are, Multifamily Housing Secure System. Let's click that. And there you are. You're at the Secure Systems. As Robert said earlier, you're going to be getting a warning, a legal warning, and message of the day. And the rules of behavior is usually here. You're going to click Accept. That's going to take you to the secure systems that are available. As you can see, I have quite a few. You probably will not have this many when you log in, but where we're wanting to go is to IREMS. So let's click on IREMS. All right. When you go into IREMS, you're going to see the properties that are assigned to you. Remember earlier we talked about property assignment and the roles that you have for those assignments. So in this particular instance, we're going to take a look at Ridgeview at Scott Hill. If I didn't already have these in my portfolio, I could go up on the right-hand side and I could query by the FHA number if it had an FHA insured number. I could query by the contract number because it may or may not have a subsidy contract, but that's what contract number refers to. And property ID. As you probably are aware, each IREMS has a unique identifier, and that is the property ID. That enables HUD to be able to correlate data, and in a property it can house the owner, the agent, the subsidy, the rents, the units, the use agreements, the management reviews, the physical inspections, the financial statements. It's sort of your one-stop shopping for multifamily housing. So let's go down here and let's take a look at Ridgeview at Scott Hill. I would like to thank the Richmond Field Office for volunteering Ridgeview at Scott Hill as a demo property. Since it's an active property, we wanted to show you something that was live and available for information that you can see. So I've highlighted it. I'm going to click it open. When I click it open, it immediately will go to the property name and address. Why is this important? This is very important for REAC physical inspections. If you have a reverse auction and individuals will bid on the REAC physical inspections, they need to know what the primary address is for the property that they are bidding on. This is where the primary address will appear. This is available for you to edit if necessary, and of course you can also change the AKA number. Many times properties will refinance and the property name will change. In this particular instance, you can see, which is why we use it as a demo, is that it started out at Ridgeview at Scott Hill. It went to Scott Hill Retirement Center, and now it resides back with Ridgeview at Scott Hill. So, this particular screen will tell me how many buildings are in the property. Is that important? Yes, it is, because REAC Physical Inspection, when they go out, and I will show you here in a little while when we go to the physical inspection, they will count the number of buildings, and hopefully it matches what we have in here. It's important for you to always verify that when you're looking at your physical inspection. It also feeds the rents from tracks. Now, if this property happened to be a market property or a property without a subsidy contract, you would not have rents feeding from tracks. If, however, it was a 236 or a 221 D3 BMI, you could, because those are assisted properties through interest rate reductions, could load those rents into tracks, and they will feed back over to IREMS via the FHA number. But in this particular case, what we see is that this property has 2 housing assistance payment contracts. One was originally associated, as you'll see here in a moment, on the 202, and the second one is an HFDA contract with a housing finance agency. It also will show you your FHA numbers. Note that we had said earlier that this was a 202, hence the 202 HAP contract, and now it has been refinanced. Many of you may be aware that we used to have neighborhood network centers, and we encouraged certain properties to apply to have neighborhood network centers. This one, unfortunately, did not have one, but if it had, it would have had a neighborhood network plan approved and established, and it would have had the resident organizational contact number. So, let's just go over here to the REAC physical inspections. As we talked about earlier, on the property address and the contact information, the buildings will be critically important to the REAC inspection. So as we can see, this property has had REAC inspections from 1999, being the most recent one from January 27, 2006. It also had a score of 68C. So let's go over here to the inspection detail. If we go to the inspection detail, we can immediately see that there were EH&S items, that's exigent health and safety items that were found on the property. If we go over to the REAC inspection report photo, these photos are going to be the EH&S that we saw on the previous screen, as well as any level 3 deficiency that was found. This is one of the newer nuances to IREMS, in that the physical inspections will now give you a photo to show what the inspector saw when he went to that property on that particular day. For instance, let's just load up one of those photos, and this should be a missing cover. There it is. It's the panel box. It does not have a cover. It is a level 3 finding. So this enables you, as the account executive or senior account executive or trouble asset specialist, to be able to see the deficiency as it was recorded at the time of the inspection. It has become a very helpful tool for account executives that are looking at resolving EH&Ss or level 3 deficiencies. So let's look at that inspection report. And as you can see, the inspection report will actually show the user, when it loads, the particular criteria under which the inspector used to go out and look at the property, the time he did it, the date he did it, the score, and whether or not the inspection was successful. In this particular case, the inspection was successful. And it also will tell you the number of buildings. In this case, it's 1. So it matches the building that we had on the property attributes. That is good. Sometimes you'll see a variance here. The number of buildings is really important in reverse auctions when the prospective inspector is bidding on these, as well as the location. He will expect when he goes out to see 1 building. Had we recorded 5 buildings in here, the inspector would have expected to see 5. If when he got to the property and there were 1 and not 5, he will say that there is a difference and he will record it here as expected and actual. So you might want to look at that when you're looking at these physical inspections. Notice that we have the site manager. These are the people that were actually with the inspector at the time that he conducted the inspection. These do not feed from IREMS. They are recorded at the time the inspector was there and who was there and who wasn't. As you can see, the management agent was present during the inspection and his name and email is being recorded by the inspector. He also says that the owner, who he would know by data feeding from IREMS, was not present during the inspection. So, as you can see, there are a lot of information. This is how it was scored, and these are what he saw. And as you can see, we had to 3 exigent health and safety, and then you're going to be able to see your level 3, and it's going to give you some in-depth detail. So this is really important for you to correlate between the information that's in IREMS. So we talked about the ownership. So let's go over here to the property participants. On the property participants, you're going to be able to put on the property the current owner contact, any owner history or narratives, and this is going to give you the history of the ownership should it have changed either through a refinance, a HAP assignment and assumption, or another action such as a enforcement action. So let's just take a look here. We have the owner, and if we click on the owner name, what we are going to see is the current owner detail, the current owner's tax identification name. Notice that this has a need email at HUD.gov. We would not be able to update this particular field on the current owner detail because we don't own this field. As Robert had said earlier, we have different legacy systems that feed into IRAMS, and on this particular one, APPS owns the ownership field, and those are extracted data and put on this particular property by the TIN number. So if you were to go to this field and there was no ownership, you could go to the ad and you could search by EIN number, and then you could save and it would apply to this particular property. So let's take a quick look. We're looking at the date the ownership assumed to make sure it's accurate. Is the ownership required to file a financial statement? If it's yes, then later on we'll expect to find a financial statement over on the financial statement tab. If for any reason you would need to change the owner fiscal year end date, that is a request that would have to be approved by REAC Financial, and it would have to be justified before it could be changed. And of course, these are the information that's feeding over from your legacy systems, like you're going to say what the date of the deed recorded was, and if there's a regulatory agreement signed by an owner, you can update these things, and you can also update the distribution allowed. Let me just quickly show you here by clicking the update screen. Notice that the ownership is not editable. As I said, it feeds from app. If you scroll down, you'll now see boxes. Those boxes are editable. Please note that if you're changing the owner fiscal year end date, it does have an impact on the financial statement, and that has to be approved by REAC Physical Inspection. The date the deed recorded should be coming from your legacy system like DAP, or it could come from financial documents, or hopefully you'll be able to have the deed available to you that you can see when it was recorded, and that should be part of your closing package. Your source documents, if this is an FHA insured, you could certainly and should say that it is a regulatory agreement. Now, I mentioned earlier that you could have a transfer of ownership. If the ownership transferred, you would want to enter your final HUD TPA approval date, because even if it's a HAP assignment and assumption, it's a modified TPA, or if it's a full TPA, doesn't matter, it's still a TPA approval date, and this is where you'd want to enter it. So that's how you update. You can certainly say back, or you can say save. I'm going to go back because we're going to take a quick look at the current management agent contacts. Again, notice that this is coming from your legacy systems based on the EIN. Your agent effective date is a date that you will put in here that is the effective date that's on your management certification that's approved by your field office. It has a start date and it has an end date. In this particular case, this is an open-ended certification. If for any reason you said no, this was not an open-ended certification and you had an end date here, as Robert told you earlier, you have access to MPRD reports. If you pulled an MDR report on this particular property and you had selected non-open-ended certification, this end date would then indicate on the MPRD report that this property does not have a management agent. And the reason it would indicate that is because it had an end date, and that date ended that activity of this particular management company. So these are just some of the nuances you want to be aware of. You also want to know, are there any other services that are supplied to the property by the management company? You'll know that because those things will be indicated on your management agreement, and so you certainly should click them here. Let's go back to the management agent screen. And notice that we have management agent regional office contact, we have management agent contact, and we have management agent site manager, and we have rental inquiries contact. I will say that this is particularly important if we have a disaster in and around this property. Sometimes you'll not be able to reach out to the ownership because he may or may not be located where the property is. Generally they're not, but sometimes on the smaller properties they are. But you may have alternative contacts, and those could be your management agent regional, and sometimes your regional folks are in another state entirely that was not impacted by the disaster, but they are getting immediate information from their people who have boots on the grounds because their primary concern is the resident and the building. So if we can't get a hold of the owner because of the disaster response and inquiry for information, we're going to reach out to either the management agent regional office contact or the management agent contact. And that's why these fields are critical for you to maintain them. And they are a responsibility of the field to update and maintain with current and accurate information. So you have a management agent. So logically, you're going to do a management review of that agent on the property and how it's being managed. In this particular case, this property has had several management reviews. And those management reviews are entered on the screen by the account executive, senior account executive, troubled asset specialist. And they are what type of review it was and who conducted it, the date it was performed, the report date, whether an owner response to the review was required, when the response was received, and then if you put in here that a response was required, it will create an action item in IREMS, which I'll show you here in a little while. And you will be responsible to enter a close date on that action item and then save it. So let's segue over here to the occupancy. We talked about the housing assistance payments contract. On this particular screen, you're going to put on the initial occupancy date. That's really important because it will typically align with a property that has subsidy, and the subsidy will align with the permission to occupy. So the initial occupancy date usually will be the permission to occupy date that's on your closing documents. Down here, you'll also look that you can see what kind of client group it is. That's really important for NPRD reporting. And you'll also be able to go over here and look at the units. Now, I have been asked many times, as Robert was, about there's negative numbers that appear on my occupancy screen, and how did they get there? Well, I'm just going to quickly show you an example. If I take this 6 and I change it to a 4, and I go up here and I hit save. Now, notice I'm changing the total number of units. If I hit save, then it's going to give me an error message. If I continue, notice what happens. I now have created a negative number of total units in that property because I said that it only had 4 two-bedroom units when in fact we know it has 5 two-bedroom units because 5 two-bedroom units appear in the HAP contract. That is how a negative number appears. It is always a difference between the total number of units and the units that are on the HAP contract. So to correct this, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to put in a 6. I'm going to hit save, and voila. I no longer have a negative number, which means I don't have negative units. This is really important because this impacts what the REAC inspector is going to look at. And of course, we're always striving for accurate data in IREMS. So this is just a helpful hint because we have seen many times where there have been negative numbers where someone will say, oh no, the property only has 138 assisted units. And remember the disclaimer that popped up earlier when I went to change the units? Unit changes for HAP contracts must be changed in tracks. Let me say that again. Unit changes for number of units or unit types must be changed in tracks. Tracks is one of those legacy systems that feeds IREMS, and you can see how important it is here. We put the total number of units in there to be edited so that if you have a market rate property, Tracks is not going to house those unit numbers, and the only way that unit information by bedroom type can be entered into the property is for you to manually enter the total number of units and then save, and then it goes back and it adds those number of units under non-contract or FHA insured, not assisted. So that's a really important screen that you want to pay attention to. So let's just go over here to financing. So as we said earlier, this property was a 202. It refinanced as a 223F. Hence, it should have a use agreement. Well, in a little while, we'll look to see if it really does. But in this particular instance, it should have now one primary financing instrument. If it had gone through RAD or mark to market, mark to market would have maybe, not always, but sometimes would have created a V or a W silent and surplus cash note, and those would appear here also. Those are usually on your mark to market debt restructure. So let's go here and open this up. All right, so you see that this is our primary loan instrument. Notice it has a 1. This is really critical that you make sure that your primary instrument has a 1 on it so that it interacts appropriately with the REAC financial, because when the auditor goes to prepare his financial statement and he goes to submit it, he's submitting it under the primary financing instrument. Down here you see a choice between going to FHASL. We had mentioned earlier that it's one of the legacy systems that feeds IRIMS. So here's the data that comes from FHASL. If I want to go and look at DAP, I can simply go over here to DAP, and it'll give me the information that originally was inputted into DAP, if in fact it was input into DAP. And it will give me the information that was available from DAP. It's automatic feed. You have to do nothing on this one. So, how do we know when a financing instrument is active? Notice this little field off a status that says under management active. We get a lot of questions about when does it become a active property and active for servicing actions for field staff. The easiest answer is to say when you're assigned the property. Now, when you actually take full responsibility for it would be when the property transfers over into under management active. That's not to say that before it gets out of development, it doesn't have some issues, and you may have to input some information into this property because it may or may not get out of development and go to full endorsement. So typically, you would look for the under management active. If there are problems before it gets to initial endorsement or final endorsement, depending on the type of loan, you would look for that indicator. And under active management then means you have to set this indicator to 1 for a primary finance instrument for your physical inspection. So we mentioned earlier that we wanted to go over here and we wanted to look at our risk management. And the reason we go over here and we look at the risk management is because we said earlier that you may or may not have to note issues that are on a property before it went to endorsement, or it may have a failing REAC inspection, in which case you want to make notations, or it had a disaster, which we talked about earlier. Or it could just have some other issues, like maybe it didn't have a natural disaster, but it had a fire and it took buildings offline, and those buildings offline required you to come in and request a offline unit or offline building for a REAC inspection to remove those from a upcoming REAC inspection. Where we're going to go to look for that particular information is we're going to go and look at the property problem statement. The first place we're going to go and look for information that ongoing problems are occurring on this property is property statement. We're also going to be looking to see if you're putting in information that is advantageous to headquarters processing your approval. This could be units offline. This could be you went out and you did management review and you found certain conditions that you felt were relevant to put in here. You could put in here that a management agent change is required. You could put in here that a TPA has begun processing, but for whatever reason it has stalled. You can also put in here information about your risk rating and nuances that are not captured in the reporting criteria that's required under MACOD for risk rating per your calls and current guidance. But this is really where we're looking for problems. I would say that Ken Hannon and his use agreements and his REAC and his disaster, this is really the first place he's going to go and look. This is also the first place where somebody is going to go to look if you ask for an off-unit approval for a REAC inspection. They want to know why those units are offline, and if it had a fire, if it had a tornado, or something like that that's not a natural disaster or is a natural disaster, you're going to go and we're going to look for information here. So we stress, please keep your problem statement up to date. It helps us, it helps you, it helps everybody that's looking at this particular property. So let's say that the owner did have a financing instrument, and yes, he was responsible to file a financial statement. Sure enough, there they are. And on that financial statement, we will be able to see the number of compliance flags that were assessed by the REACT audit system. You're going to see the performance color. We always strive for green. Yellow is sort of hesitation above. There's a problem that's maybe on the horizon. And red means stop, stop, stop. We have a problem. And you can also see that this thing was referred to no one. You could see that it could have seen that it was referred to the DEC. You could have also seen that it was referred to the multifamily housing. If we go over to the detail screen, we will be able to see the details for the filing and the subsequent letters from FAS and the date that multifamily housing closed this particular financial statement. All financial statements require that they are to be reviewed by someone in-house. They may vary on certain levels of review based on if you go in here and you see that it's yellow and it needs a little more care. Red certainly would need to be reviewed. Green typically means that there's not many problems, but you certainly want to pay attention to the FAS assessment. And you want to take a look, if you want, to the letter. You can also look at the performance and you can look at the compliance. The compliance is complying to his business agreements, and the performance means what caused that red, yellow, green indicator. You can also look at the particular sections of the financial statement. It's always a good thing to look at the auditor's letter and the auditor's reports, because those really will tell you if the auditor himself found something that was of significance to report to HUD on the filing. So now we've looked at the financial statement. Let's go over here to the servicing. As we said earlier, if you prepaid a mortgage or you had a LIPRA, which is a preservation tool that was used in the early 90s, or let's say you had a green retrofit, or let's say you had a use agreement for another purpose, this is where they would be recorded. Use agreements are on the use restriction list, and they are incumbent upon the servicing entity in the field to record these. That's your account executive, senior account executive, or your troubled asset specialist. So if I wanted to add a new use agreement, I would hit add, and then I would pick the type, and I would pick the applicability of it. For instance, it might have been an IRP decoupling. And then you're going to put the effective date, and you can put the end date, and you can put the number of units that are associated and detailed in that use agreement. And then you're going to put the associated FHA that use agreement or HAP contract ties to it. And then most importantly, you're going to put is a owner certification on an annual basis as defined in the use agreement required. If the answer to that is yes, then you will in fact say yes, and every annual period you will record when that certification is received. This is really important for those standalone use agreements, because that is our trigger to say the owner is or is not complying, and we may have to make a visit out there, do a review, and we may have to take some sort of administrative action. So it's really important that you pay attention to these use agreements. Other public subsidy lists, really you're going to find your service coordinator here. Service coordinators are on an annual basis, and you'll see here that the most recent one was done in January of 2016. Service coordinators do in fact require servicing for the year that they're active, and they require that we receive the financial reporting that is required for a service coordinator grant. So please be aware that you want to make sure that you're recording that you're receiving those proper documentation. So we've looked at that. So let's go over here to workload management. Workload management, you can take a look at your project action list. And as we said earlier, if you said the financial statement needed to have follow-up,
This is where you'll find it, and this is where you will see where the close date is. This is where you will also see your project action detail, where you can actually enter those close dates for the action items that were entered on a REAC or physical inspection or MOR. If you look over here to assignments, you can actually see the folks that are assigned to this and the system IDs that correlate with that. This is where you're going to find out who has access to view this property, who has access to update and edit this property. And as you can see, we're still using the project manager title instead of the account executive. That really requires a system maintenance enhancement, but it still is the same. People manager, project manager is equating to an account executive. So I just wanted to throw that out there until we're able to change that. You're going to continue to see project manager, supervisory project manager. For account executive, senior account executive, trouble asset specialist, whoever is assigned edit and view rights you'll be able to see it here. All right, so let's quickly go over here to summaries. This is a very helpful sort of screen because it'll give you a quick snapshot of the summary of the property. It'll tell you all the screens that we've talked about. It's sort of the one place where you can go and just look at everything and see if it looks right to you. If anything needs to be updated, you can see it here. You can go in there and say, oh gosh, that doesn't look right. You can print it out. You can take it with you when you go to the property sort of to refer to. And also, you can go over here to your summary narrative. Remember we talked about the problem statement screen? Well, let's just go over here to problem statement. And if I had seen nothing here, I would have known that there was a data feed problem, and I would pick up the phone and I would call Robert and say, what's up? Something's not appearing. I have plenty of data in my problem statement screen and it's not appearing here. But as you can see, this pretty much matches what we've already looked at on the problem statement screen. So we know that in fact it is appearing. We can go to the consolidated screen print, and the consolidated screen print will allow you to check off, and you can print all of housing screens. If you don't want to do that, you can go to a particular screen, and that will give you a consolidated screen print just for property attributes. That's true for everything that's here, and has a little toggle button that you can check and it can print out. So the other thing we want to tell you about is your DEC referrals. As you can see on this, it had 2 DEC referrals. This is for the DEC. We are not able to update this. However, the DEC will go in and they will put their data on the referrals. As you can see in 2002, this had a non-filer referral and it had a financial referral. Both were closed and returned to the hub, which of course, as we said in transformation, we are still using the program manager, project manager title. We're still using the hub for regional. So those are just some of the nuances. As you can see also, we know that this property has a Section 8 contract. So if I go up to this particular property and I click the subsidy administration screen, I see that this property under its IREMS ID has a contract, or it would not appear here. So I can go up and I can simply go into its assistance contracts, and I see it has 2 assistance contracts. And if I check this one, I can actually go in and look at that particular HAP. I can look at its assistance contract detail. I can look at the administrator. I can look at the history, and I can look at the contract status. So these are very helpful tools for anybody that has an asset that's assigned to them in their portfolio. We hope this brief overview has been helpful. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Robert Norman, who is the gatekeeper for all things IREMS. I just simply serve as his support team as we both support you in the field. And we thank you.
as we said earlier, we are available to you. We are your support team, right, Robert?
You're right.
We are. We're nothing without your comments, your questions, your inquiries, or suggestions. Robert Norman is available by email. I'm available by email. We certainly would like to have your feedback, and we appreciate your time, and we wish you all a great day. Thank you so much.